Friends, welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Angular 16 step-by-step CRUD tutorial series. This is part 11 of the series. Previously in this particular series, we created a dashboard, we designed the template, we generated the components, services, routing, service implementation, read functionality, add functionality, and delete functionality. The application looks like this so far. We are running JSON server in order to run and fetch the data. We have implemented the filtering of results using mat table. We did the pagination, we did the view, we did the so if you click here you can view the data, and we learned how to add a new credit card using template driven form, and we also did the delete functionality. Today we are going to learn how to implement edit functionality. In the next episode, we will do some code cleanup, some UI modification, refactoring in order to make things look much beautiful and better. And finally, in the last episode, I will do a final demo of this application and the source code access for you. Let's get started. Today we are doing edit credit card using reactive forms. Let's get started into the code. All right. So for that, we will go to the app credit cards and the edit component, and we generated this component back. Alright, so let's start with the form first and then we'll go into the class. Okay, so for the edit we will use reactive form. So I'm going to, so first thing in the module, let's make sure that we have the reactive forms that we need to import. Okay, so we will do reactive forms module from Angular forms, and we will include it in the list of forms array. Right, so we included the forms module for template driven forms, same way we have included reactive forms module. That's important, without which it will not work. The next thing we are going to do is to build a form. Okay, and for that we can just throw in a mat card first, and then mat card body, just like the way we did for add template. If you see, if you know how to do it once, you can just refer to it. So you will have mat card header, and mat card content. So I'm taking it as it is. So now we have the mat card content. We will close the mat card. Okay, that's the fastest, simplest way. You have the header and the content. So here it would be edit credit card. Alright, so now let's check how it looks when we click on edit. So the form is looking, it's the mat card with a simple heading which says edit credit card. In the mat card content, what we are going to do is write the form, and since it's a reactive form, we are going to use form group. Okay, and let's give it a name. Okay, and let's say edit credit card. Okay, now again on ng submit, what will we do? We are going to submit it. So we'll have a method and say on submit, let's say. Okay, so now we got the basic form included. The next thing what we are going to do is build a form group, okay, for each of the fields. So we are going to give a class and say form group. So this is a div which will have the form field as well as the label and input and error and all of that. Okay, so let's get started with mat form field. So I'm saying this is a mat form field, and let's just give it a class and say half width. So this is what I'm doing, just using the same class that we used earlier, in order to have a kind of a layout that is similar. All right, the next what we can do is inside this we will write the input, and we are saying it's a mat input. So because we need a text box, so we can give a placeholder and send credit card name. All right, and I'll collapse this for just for a minute so you can see it clearly. All right, and now this is the important thing. So whenever you use reactive forms, instead of name we will use form control name, and this is the same name that you would use in your class to refer to that particular field. Okay, so I'll just build that form, and it says property edit credit card does not exist, right? Because we need to go to component class and create that particular um, element first in the class. So let's go ahead and quickly add that. Okay, so let's do one thing, and first thing we'll do is edit credit card form, and I'm saying this is of type form group. Okay, so automatically form group is imported. Okay, so now you can initialize it, or you can just mention it that okay, I we can initialize it equal to null. Okay, if that's what we would want to prefer. So if you see, it says it does not have initializer, so you can do a quick fix and add undefined, or you can also do the other way, which is to add indefinitive, that is not operator here. Okay, these are the two ways. Now I'm going to build the data, so I'll need credit card data because this is what I will use to submit, right? So I'm saying this is of type credit card, which got imported here. You see, this is our model, and same way we can do a put a check null. Okay, and just type equal to null. Okay, so I'm saying initially the value is null. Now let's build the constructor, and here we'll need the form builder. Whenever we work with reactive forms, we will need a form builder because we will build our form dynamically. So that's the first thing that we need. We will also need to capture the route for that, so I'm going to include one more and say activated route. Say route is activated route. That's the second thing we'll need. And of course we will need our service because we are going to submit the data back. So we are going to say credit card service. Okay, now you have it here. These are all the things you need to import. Then close the constructor. This is good. So what did we do? We have just imported, we have created an instance of form builder, activated route, and credit card service. What this does is it will import. Now we have the instances in our local, so which means we can use this operator to work with these. So I'm going to say this dot credit card form is equal to this dot form builder dot group. That means I'm grouping things together, and we will build our entire object inside this particular form builder. Okay, and how do we build? Let's say name, and then we are going to, we can give some values, right? Initial values if you want to give, or we can also use some validators. So let's import that. Validators dot required, I'm saying this field is required. We can add more validators and say validators dot min length should be 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can also mention validators dot max length, say 20, right? You get the idea. Using validators, now we are doing the validation instead of regular HTML attribute. That's for the name field. Same way I'm going to keep on going now for other fields, which is description. And again, first we will assign the value to this after we have made the call, but first we will initialize all of them empty. Okay, so for now I'm going to keep them simple, and what I'll do should be an array of this should be an array, and if you have only one, then you don't need an array, right? So for now I'm just putting it required quickly, and bank name, same way, let's keep it empty. And for now I'm going to use validator dot required on all the fields. Okay, if you have more than one field, then you would need array brackets. Now same way, validators dot required, that's for the max credit. Then you have the interest rate, and then you are going to assign that value, validators dot required, and then you also have field active. So this is boolean value. So now here again you can give a value true or false. I'm giving false, and we are saying validators dot required, and then you have the recommended score, which I'm leaving it null for now. Validators dot required. So you keep building you need to pass all the values, that's all the fields basically, because it's easy to patch data once you have the entire object. Okay, so that's why I'm typing each one line by line. You have terms and terms, conditions, give a value. For now I'm putting all the things required. If you don't need some field, if it's not required, you don't have to give that required thing. Then we have created date, leave it empty, and I'm leaving it empty for now. Okay, and same way last field I have is updated date, and this would be double quotes. Okay, or just put everything to validators dot required. Again, this will say that all the fields are required in this particular form. Okay, so what we have done here is we have created an instance of credit card form, which is a form group basically right now, nothing else, right? Using form builder, we are grouping and creating this particular form, but we have not yet assigned it. Okay, so to do that, what we need to do is we will have to write a ng on in it, and what we will do in that is, if you see, this is our constructor that is closing, so check it out again. This is the constructor definition which is closing here. Now here I am going to write ng on init. Now what this will do is, on init we are going to make a call to our service and get the data, but before that first we need to capture the ID of that is passed in the URL. So we are going to use this dot route dot snapshot dot paramap. Now what we are saying is we'll pass an ID, right? um, if you get an ID, it's fine. If not, use a empty value. Okay, simple. So what we are doing here, checking, getting from the this dot route. This dot route is nothing but activated route. So whenever user enters edit slash some ID, we'll get the value, and we will do a get and get that value. Now first thing you will do, you'll check, right? If it is not equal to, or say I'm assigning a value of null, empty, right? And here you can do if id is not equal to, okay, or you can do a 0 actually, that's fine. Okay, if id is not equal to 0, then we are going to say this dot credit card service dot, now we are going to get the credit card by id, because first we need to get the data and map that data. So again we will run an ID, which is what we captured above, and we are going to subscribe to that data and get that data and do the manipulation. Now we know that we got the data, so we are going to say this dot credit card data equal to data, which is nothing but this is of type model, right, of same type credit card, so it's strictly typed. Now we are using our model to bind it. Once we have this credit card data, we need to do a patch with the form that we built using our form builder, which is this dot credit card form, right? So we can easily do this dot patch value. So we are going to say this dot edit cards form dot patch value, and what is the value that we need to patch it with? Credit card data, and save it. So that's for the code to get the data from, get the ID from the route, check if it's not equal to 0, then compare it and make a call to the service, get the data, map it with the edit credit card form. Once you do this, then all we need is one more method, because we have written on submit in the template. If you see here, we have written on submit, so we need to implement that method so we don't have any errors. Now we will do if this dot edit credit cards form dot valid. If the form is valid, what should we do? We will make a call to our service, right? Now we can send this data, so you can say const updated form data equal to, which is again of type credit card, equal to this dot edit credit card form dot value. Okay, so now we'll get the value. Let's do a simple console log, console.log updated form data. Okay, that's all we need. Let's check if there are any errors. I don't see any errors in the console log. So we can see here we mapped the first field, and that's why it has come up already with the value, since we already binded it. Okay, let's go on and bind all the other fields also, so that way we will know uh, that we have correctly captured all the data. Okay, now I'm also going to show you some errors handling also in this. Let's go. Now here, first I'm going to quickly build my form groups. Okay, so you see this form group we have built using the placeholder and control equal to name, right? You can copy this div as it is. Now what you will do, you will just change the name of it. The second name that we have in our field is description, and these names are nothing but whatever field names you have in your model: name, description, bank name, credit card, etc. So this will be for each one of that. Okay, so you can put a label and say credit card name. You can see here credit card name value is coming. Now here I'm going to copy that label again, put it here and call it description. So we have the description. Same way, let's continue building the form, copy it and paste it again. Now this will be for a new field, and the new field is max credit. Okay, so it should be the same name that you have given in your model. Remember that. That's where a lot of people will make mistake. Okay, so we got the max credit, and same way we will copy paste and give a new name, and that would be for whether it is required interest rate. So I'm going to say interest rate. So you can see here interest rate is coming up. I'm going to show you the validation in just a bit once we are done with the form, so you get the idea. You need to use form control in order to have the uh, value. Okay, so now we also need a drop down value, correct? Now recommended score is a select drop down, so let's build that form again. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to use a select, or rather let's use mat select. That's what we have used in our earlier also. Say recommended score, and then we are going to give the form control name equal to recommended score. And the best way to avoid any errors would be to use directly with a copy paste. Okay, if you are not sure about it, then you are going to give mat option, and here these are the values that you would give. Say value equal to 100 to 500, and so on and so forth. You can add multiple values that you want to provide here. Say 500 to 700, 900. Okay, so I'm not going to spend time much on it, but you get the idea. So now you see we get the interest rate drop down also in our edit form. And last I'll do, and remaining forms I think you can easily do it. That should not be a problem because they are mostly the text. Okay, so you don't need the mat select. Instead you can use the input field itself and just give the name and annual fee and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can see here annual fee is also coming up. Let's label it, and here I'm going to call it recommended score. So now you see the form is building, right? So That's how you will do a copy paste on others and get it. But what I want to show you is the validation. That's one of the important pieces. Alright, so for the validation, what we are going to put, we are going to put a mat error. Okay, and what's the condition to show it? Okay, so we will say show this if if equal to edit credit card form dot get. Now what is the value you're getting here of the same form? Okay, which is field name, which is name. If it, if this has error, then you would check for what kind of error it is. If it is required, then you will say name is required. Okay, so let's see. Now see that it's coming up, right? Name is required. So if you enter, it would go away. Okay, if you don't enter, the field will come. So basically you would use this has error with different variations. Let's say what all different variations you have. Name minimum length is 3. Okay, so the same thing, whatever field name is there, what kind of error you are checking, that is the max length is say 20. Okay, so this ng if will only show, okay, so see now it's the max length is 20, so it is giving error, right? So those are the things that you would do in terms of handling the error in a reactive form. Same thing you can copy paste in others, and you can here what is the name, description, so change the name to description and that would be done. Okay, so even if you remove the description now, you would see that error is coming up. Change the value and say description is required. Okay, so that's how you build a reactive form. You do the validations. I'm not going to spend time on the other fields. You know what to do, the drill is same, but I'm going to show you on the submit button. Okay, on submit. So let's have a submit button quickly here, and let's do that form submit for you. Okay, so that's again very simple, just like how we have done earlier in add. All you will do is put a button, okay, and call it mat raised button. Okay, and here you can give a color and say primary and type equal to submit, and you can say let's disable it, right? So let's disable it, disabled equal to, if that form is not valid, right? If that form is not valid, let's disable it and says edit credit card. So now you see the form is enabled, but if you see that some field is not there, this has automatically got disabled, because the form, the condition for the button that we have put is that if there is any field that is not matching the validation, let's just disable the form. So enter back the form details, some credit card, and it's enabled, right? I'm going to open the console log just to show you and close this here, and I'll submit the form, and you can see the form got captured with all the values here at the bottom in the console log, right? Now on submit, the next step that you would do is some problem with my device, sorry about that. All right, and then we will do this dot credit card service dot edit, right? So now we are going to do an update, okay, and we are going to update the credit card with the data which is updated form data, and just if you want you can also subscribe to it and check the details. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the next part where we do code cleanup and refactoring. Thank you so much for joining in this episode. We will continue this in the next episode. Thank you.